Welcome to Paxton Presbyterian Church. My name is Norman Daniels, and today we're going to talk about Samuel Sherer Elder, who was an artillery officer during the Civil War. This is an original photograph, or a copy of an original photograph, still in the possession of the family of Samuel Sherer Elder. You'd say he had quite a mustache of the time, and Samuel Sherer Elder was born in 1826. The exact date is unknown. I'm still looking for that, but I do know in searching church records that he was baptized on December 22nd as an infant. So we know the date's correct, but we don't have the exact day. He enlisted in the United States Army in 1853 for a 5-year hitch. He was assigned to Battery C of the 2nd U.S. Artillery, and he worked his way up to first sergeant, but he did not re-enlist. He returned to civilian life. At that time, the United States Army, not unlike during World War II or World War I before the war started, the professional army was very, very small, and promotions were slow because of the size. And so he went back to civilian life. As the Civil War approached, he applied to go into the service again to defend his country. And on March 28, 1861, about 2 weeks before the firing on Fort Sumter in the beginning of the war, he was given a lieutenant's commission and assigned to the 1st U.S. Artillery. Again, that's a professional, the regular army as he called it. And shortly thereafter, he was made first lieutenant, a small promotion to the 4th U.S. Artillery. In 1862, September of 1862, Lee did his first invasion of the North, which ended at the Battle of Antietam. He was cited after the battle for gallantry in action during the battle. His captain wrote in his after-action report, quote, "Lieutenant Elder served his section with remarkable effect and was principally instrumental in silencing the battery first engaged. His conduct under an extraordinary heavy fire was cool and gallant in the extreme." Because of this, he was promoted as a brevet promotion to captain. A brevet is like an honorary item for gallantry or meritorious service, and you didn't have all the authority or the pay of the full rank, but it was a reward, if you will. 1862 brought the Battle of Gettysburg, and before the battle started, he was assigned the famous U.S. Horse Artillery Brigade, where he served for most of the war. During the Gettysburg campaign, he arrived on the battlefield on July 3rd, the 3rd day of the battle, and he arrived in a position to the southwest of what we call Big Round Top at the battlefield, and supported General Farnsworth's ill-fated cavalry charge on the afternoon of the 3rd. After the Confederates retreated from July 6th to 16th, he fought at the Battle of Hagerstown, covering General Kirkpatrick's troops. For his actions at Gettysburg, he was awarded a permanent promotion to captain, and that was on August 1st, 1863. So that's the second promotion for his gallantry in the field. There are 2 monuments at Gettysburg with his name on it. The first one is the location of his battery, which is down by the Farnsworth attack. There's a monument there to him. Second, on a regular Army monument near the high water mark of Gettysburg. After that, there were several pictures taken of him. Here's the first one. These were taken in September 1863 at Culpeper, Virginia. And you can see that he is on the left with the hat leaning against a tree. And you see one of his cannon there with the men of his battery. And the second picture, very close to that, actually it's a blow-up of a picture taken on the same day with a different scene. It's a little blurry because when you bring it in, but you'd see he's leaning against a tree, quite a dashing looking fellow, actually. So after Gettysburg, he was detached and sent to Florida. And while he was down there, he took part in the Battle of Austerlitz, and he supported several USCT troops. USCT is United States Colored Troops, and one of the regiments that he protected with his cannon was the 54th Massachusetts, whose story was told in the movie Glory. Again, he was cited for gallantry and was given a brevet promotion to major. So he's someone that was cool under fire, could think well, and it was recognized. He then, after the battle in Florida, he moved back to Virginia, and he's served, returned to his horse artillery group. And while there, he wrote to his niece on May 3rd, 1864, not about the battle he had taken part in, but rather about some souvenirs that he had picked up during the Florida campaign. So he said, quote, "Tell Robbie I captured a sword at Camp Finnegan, Florida, which I would like to send to him if I knew how. I have a couple of table covers which I rescued from destruction at Baldwin after the Battle of Austerlitz, which I would like to send you and Allie, but I am afraid a box would hardly reach you from here. I will try, but I am afraid of losing the articles, especially the sword. Now I have written you a long letter, and you must write me one as long or longer. Give Allie this kiss for me." Following that, actually 2 days after that letter, he took part in the Battle of Drury's Bluff. And Drury's Bluff is along the James River south of Richmond, and there was an attack to try to take the Confederate capital. Again, he was cited for gallantry. This is the third time that he was written up for gallantry, and he was promoted to brevet lieutenant colonel. Later, in June of '64, there was a siege, about a 9-month siege at Petersburg, and during this time, he was taken prisoner, but in unusual circumstances. According to historian Edward Longacre, our beloved elder here, one night was drinking with his buddies on a fairly heavy drinking spree, and on his way back, he rode his horse accidentally into Confederate lines. So the next morning, he woke up and he had two problems. First, he was a prisoner, and second, he was hungover. He was sent to Macon, Georgia, and Columbia, South Carolina, and he escaped from there in November of 1864. There were no repercussions to that, so this officers drinking, especially in a siege when things weren't moving too well, was not a rare occurrence, let's say. Finally, in April of 1865, the Battle of Appomattox, the final battle with General Lee, he commanded the Battery B, the 1st Artillery, and his battery is credited as firing the final shot of that battle, which would mean the final shot against Robert E. Lee, final shot of the war in Virginia. That cannon is currently, the cannon that fired the shot, the cannon on the left, actually, they were very precise, currently sits next to the front door of the United States Military Academy Library. As a result of this final shot, an artillery sword was presented to him, which was inscribed Lieutenant Colonel S.S. Elder, Battery B, 1st U.S. Artillery, fired last shot before surrender at Appomattox Courthouse, April 9, 1865. As a side note, in 2013, this sword was sold at auction for $6,000. At the end of the war, and remember these promotions were brevets, he returned to his permanent rank of captain and continued to serve the Army. He died in service at Fortress Monroe on April 6, 1885. From his last post as gallant officer, was brought home and is here at rest, and with his beloved wife Bessie in the elder corner, which is where we are right now, of Paxton Presbyterian Churchyard. God bless you. I hope you have a great day. You're always welcome at Paxton. We're conducting services at 10:15. We'd be glad to see you.